Hi guys, this is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching doing the trade review for Tuesday, the 21st of April. Haven't done a trade review in a long time, so I'd like to get back into them just to both help myself and help struggling or learning traders that are out there. I think the first thing that I'm going to cover from today in my morning meetings when we go over the first thing that we've made a big adjustment in the first half an hour, and that is we've simply decided to not trade the first 30 minutes, right? And the reason for that is we've had a rash of open drives higher and open drives lower, much more so than what I normally deal with. And I don't have a real good way of determining right out of the gate whether we're going to drive higher or lower. However, the damage of getting caught in a zone that gets busted in an open drive higher or open drive lower far outweighs any benefit that I have of trading in that time frame, which is unfortunate. I usually or used to love trading in that first half hour, and it has since benefited me enormously in the last, particularly the last 3 weeks, to simply sidestep the first half hour completely. So just to get y'all reacquainted with the way that my trading zones work, the idea is that let's say this is a fresh zone, the market opens here and we rotate down to the zone. First time in, we're looking for rotation out. 2 points out is generally the target from the top of the zone, and with a stop 2 points behind the zone, and a time limit in most cases of 20 to 25 minutes. So uh, between all of these, these tend to keep me generally in a safe position. So let's kind of review the day today and take a look at how the market performed relative to the zones. So the first thing that I wanted to point out was that we were generally in an uptrend from from yesterday and obviously from the days before because we've been gapping up and running. And so before we could have any downside, this uptrend line, and this is this one specifically, I pointed out in the morning market preview, this trend line had to be sustained, and in order to maintain the upside. Now, just because a trend line gets broken, I do not trade off of trend lines by themselves, and just because a trend line gets broken does not mean that we are going down automatically. However, obviously it's a prerequisite in order to get the downside. It's not uncommon to have a trend line broken and then have it come right back through. So if we'll follow the trailer, first of all, obviously we blew right through the open gap from the gap up, and it was a significant gap up from 2090 all the way up to 2103. So 13 points. We blew straight through here on the open gap, and then we came down into the zone below. Now, the zone below was Monday's high, and you'll notice first time into the zone, even though it was in the first 30 minutes, we did get the rotation up from 2097 and a quarter up to 2099.50. And for those who are trading in the first half hour, it gave you your 2 points of rotation, right? If you'll then look, we proceeded to come second time into the zone, right? This is first time, second time through, pushed back. If you took this trade or you persisted in taking longs in the zone, again, the focus is first time in. Second time in would have tagged you out with a stop prior to its rotation up, right? The next place to take a trade would have been this 2089 and a quarter to 2090 and three quarters, and we hit that right before New York lunch. You'll see we came right in, and that took a little bit of time, but it cleared out of this zone, and obviously within the 15 minutes it was up and out of this zone, and did give the rotation from 2090 and three quarters to 2092 and three quarters, and then stretched out of New York lunch and came in and eventually moved to 2094 and a quarter. So that gave 2 to 4 points on the trade out of this trade location. Really, if you look at what you're trying to achieve for most traders that I'm working with, right? Most traders I'm working with are trying to achieve a consistency and profitability, right? And what I'm trying to teach them is how to avoid high risk areas of trade and how to take advantage of low risk or high, instead of low risk, I guess we're trading futures. There really is no such thing as low risk, but how to achieve a high odds trade location. And this certainly achieved a high odds trade location. Now, I'm going to discuss another trade because the members in my room are going to be watching this as well. And this is going to be discussing the trap trade. Hold on one second here. Now, if you look through the remainder of the day, no other zones got hit. And if you followed the most basic trading rules that I have, which is first time into the zone, right? Bypass, at least for now, the first 30 minutes. You had one trade location. That was right here. They gave you 2 to 4 points. It was really very straightforward and very easy. So now let's talk about the next trade that was generally is a high odds setup, but actually failed today, and that's the trap trade. A trap trade, here I'm going to take a blank line for those of you who are new to working with me, and it's a little bit difficult to explain in great detail, but let's say you have a let's just call this Globex low, okay, and we'll call this GLO, Globex low, and the market opens above Globex low, comes down, perhaps tests it, bounce off, then it comes below and it closes here on a 5-minute bar. Then it comes back around and closes back above on a 5-minute bar. This is what I would call a grade A Globex low trap. I'm generally not looking for the first trap, okay? They can work, but generally I'll want to see if it'll trade back below again and then come back above. Now on this trade, I will look for a stop 1 or 2 points behind whatever the swing low happens to be. And then generally speaking, if it traps at that point, I look for it to move up and trade across to whatever its corresponding twin is. In this case, it would be Globex high. Now on most days, this is a very high odds trade setup. And this particular case on this day, it did not work. This was Globex low. You can see here we closed below Globex low here, then we closed above. That was your grade A trap, right? And then we rotated over and we came down, obviously hit the zone, right? And the nice thing about this trade is if you took the long out of this zone and you were able to hold all the way until it trapped a second time, and you were able to scale some of this along the way, your stop was obviously the original stop that was here was 1 to 2 points behind. So you should have been able to scale some of this out and still have a shot at getting the corresponding move back to the upside. In this particular case, it did not occur. It did fail. And I think part of the teaching process is showing and educating where things work and where they don't work. Now, here's a big key. This is a high odds trade for me, and I know it is because I keep stats on it. I trade it regularly. I know it's a high odds winning trade. However, what a lot of people will try to do, one of the things that Mark Douglas talks about extensively in his trade is that if you have a trade set up, take that trade set up every time or don't take it, one of the two. But don't do both. Don't try to cherry pick which time is going to work and which time is not going to work. That just leads to a lot of frustration, generally speaking. And the case in point here, this trade works quite often. If you took it today, let's say, for example, in your trade setup, you did not take this trade here, which was your high odds setup, and you took the trade here, and your stop was back here. Well, let me show you what the trap trade looks like on another day. Let's pull up a fresh chart for a second. And if we will cut this to a 15-minute chart, I think it'll be relatively easy to see. You know what, even worked here yesterday. Let's go to a 5-minute chart. And again, there's more to it than just simply A, B, C, D, but this was the 9:30, this was the first hour high, right? You see, here's the first trap that occurred on the day, at least by the way I measure it. Again, there's a couple more parameters than just simply, it's not quite as simple as I laid out, but relatively simple, right? Here's the second trap right here, and while it did not extend down significantly, if you took the second trap, it did, in this particular case, only roll down from 2094 to 2090 at the close. However, there's been other days, and we'll see if we can find a few more examples here. here? First hour high, first hour low. There was no second trap till very late in the day there. Let's see here. None there. Let's see if we can find one. There's got to be at least one. Here we go. Let's see, in this particular case, this would have been first hour low. Well, you know, generally speaking, I can find a lot of them, and right now, I cannot. I guess we have not had that many traps in the past week. Let me spread this out just a little bit. 9:30 in the morning. No, no trap occurred. Here we go. So here's the first hour low right here. See if we can move this. Took me just a minute to find it. There we go. Okay, this is first hour low. You can see here we clearly closed below on the first hour low, closed back above, right? This is the first time. Come back, set a new low. That's not even required. All it's required is just simply close back below, right? This is the second trap. And on this trap, we traveled all the way over to the other end of the range. Now, generally speaking, one of the things you want to look at is what's your risk reward. In this particular case, from the time the trap was set at roughly 2073. Your stop was actually below 2067. So it was a 6-point stop. What was your reward? Well, we traveled from 2073, 2072, all the way up to 2080. So you had almost a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. And often when we have more volatile markets, you can have a 1.5 or 2-to-1 risk reward ratio on that trade. So it's generally very, very attractive, and the traps tend to be very, very effective. I'm going to try and see if there was another trap that was set here earlier in the prior week. I believe there was. Again, sometimes they're not that easy to find. First hour high, we never exceeded it. Oh, and then also the other reason I'm having a difficult time, traps can be set beyond first hour high. They can be set from Globex high, Globex low, prior day's high, prior day's low. So in this case, again, we did not get it. I do believe we get, here's a great example right here. First hour high, right here. Here's your A trap, right? Closes below, closes above. Here's your second A trap right here. And as you can see, where's your stop on this particular trade? Your stop runs from 2074. Sorry about that, dog went slightly nuts there. So the point being, let's go back through that. Here's the first A grade trap. Here's the second A grade trap. Your stop in this particular case would be roughly 2 points behind, right? And then look at the risk reward here. Here's the second trap, and we roll over from, let's assume your entry was either here or here, right? So let's just call it 2070 for entry, and we roll all the way down to 2056, right? So there can be a significant risk reward to trap trades. It's something that I encourage my coaching clients to put into their trade portfolio. It has big, massive benefits, and again, it's something that I encourage you to learn. Don't just go start taking the trade, right? One of the things I haven't talked about in a long time since I've been doing these coaching videos is there's a process to learning your trades. It's not just a matter of following someone if you want to gain consistency. Much as Mark Douglas talks about in his books, learn one trade, get the statistics down, get the process down, follow the steps. Create your entry, your exit, and stop. Have all that preset. Understand what your risk is, and understand what your tolerance for risk is as well, right? Following someone simply because they are trading in a particular method or in a particular way, right? And trying to copy them often fails, and the reason for that is twofold. If I take a trade, I know exactly what my risk parameters are, and I know what I'm comfortable with in terms of my wins or losses. If you follow me and you don't quite understand, well, how much capital am I trading? How long have I been trading profitably? How much of a drawdown can I tolerate? How much risk do I put on per contract, right? All of those come into play in following someone. So often when you're trying to follow someone and you look at their setups, even if they're very clearly defined setups like this, right? Or if they are, for example, here we'll get rid of this, the zone trade here, where it's first time into the zone, 2-point stop, right? One of the things that really affects traders is if they don't know the details of their trade, they haven't seen repetitive, um, they have not seen repetitive um, examples of that trade. They haven't experienced repetitive examples of that trade for themselves, right? They haven't written down in a spreadsheet what the entry, the exit, the stop is, how far the trade's gone in their favor, how far it's gone against them. All these things add up to, if you don't know each of these details, fear gets created, right? Because you start worrying, well, what if this time if the guy I'm following is wrong? Maybe I need to use a little bit tighter stop. A lot of my trades, for example, if you tighten up the stop, they simply don't work. They go from winning trades to losing trades statistically over time. Other trades, right, people will try to come in and they will, for example, something that I see a lot when I'm coaching is people will try to use um, less than uh, less than 2-point stops on these trades, and they tend to get tagged out a lot. And it takes some time to learn that they can A, trust the zone, B, understand where my risk profile is coming from, and then B, adapt it as their own, right? All these factors are important when you're following anyone. Again, I don't publish my zones in the morning. I have them in my room. Anyone is welcome to visit my room anytime they like. Just send me an email to tradeandperform@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to extend you a 2-week visitation into the room anytime you would like. Uh, but the goal is this. The goal is very simple. Find your high odds trades. Get rid of your trades that suck, right? That you have a low odds of winning on. Learn to control your impulses and understand what your true risk is in each trade, and then learn one trade first and then go to your next trade. I've spoken to so many people who get frustrated because they go into this constant circle of win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. They can't ever get out of it. Well, you can get out of it. First, you have to slow down enough to learn where your high odds trades are, learn one setup, get really good at it, and then go to the next setup. So anyways, my name is Simon. I hope this helped a little bit. I'm going to do my best to get back to posting and trying to help traders the best I can. My time's become very limited for one-on-one coaching, but I do enjoy helping people go from being, let's just call it mediocre to losing traders to consistently winning traders. I enjoy that process tremendously, and I will be working harder to get these trade reviews out 2 to 3 nights a week. So anyways, I hope everyone had a great day. Looking forward to tomorrow. Hopefully NQ will cooperate with ES and they'll trade a little bit more in sync. But like I said, even without that, first touch of the zone, 2 to 4 points of rotation back up. The trap trade did not work today, but in most circumstances and on most occasions, it does work. And again, keeping yourself safe in that first half hour from these rash of open drive higher and open drive lower has really made a difference. I will talk to y'all soon. I hope everyone had a great trading day, and have a good night.